Welcome back to the EJ Ward FieldView training series. In this video, we're going to be going over how to add, view, and edit transactions. So to start out, we need to go ahead and drop down the transaction management folder and then click on transactions. So most of the transactions inside of FieldView are going to automatically be added by your terminals, and that doesn't matter if it's a Ward 3 terminal, Ward 4 FCT, or a Ward 4 IoT. There are times where you need to manually enter transactions. Let's say you want to keep track of all the transactions that are done outside of the Ward system. We can set up a dummy site, like let's say it's a dummy site named Shell Station, and then you give the address of that Shell Station that people typically fuel at. We can go ahead and add a record manually there. So the first thing that we need to do is click on Add Record. And once that record comes up, we have our transaction number at the top, which we'll not be able to put in. This is a unique number that is automatically calculated for you, so it's going to save that transaction number after we save the record. We have our transaction code. So at this one, we can only see the manual entry types, and the code on the left-hand side is the number that we use. So for instance, a code 1 is a VIT fueling, but a 501 is a manual entry for a VIT fueling. VITs are older style cancevers that hooked up to vehicles that did not have OBD ports. We have our credit card fueling, vehicle card fueling, and all these different types of fuelings that we have inside of the system. The other thing to note is that if we're using an admin card or a site card, it's going to give us more options when we select this. So first, let's select vehicle card fueling. Vehicle card fueling doesn't change any of this information that we have here, but let's drop it down and select admin card fueling. So when admin card fueling is selected, we have authorizations at the bottom of what the admin card actually was. So you can select an administrator card there. Same thing happens with the site card fueling. It just changes it to the site card. So this fueling that we're going to add is a vehicle card fueling. We're going to go ahead and click on vehicle card fueling. We're going to give the date and time the transaction happened. So let's say it happened on the 20th at 2:35 p.m. Then we're going to go ahead and click on the site. We're going to go ahead and do our test department here. We have the terminal, which is terminal number 1. We have the pump, which this was on an unleaded pump. All right, let's go ahead and do pump number 6. So it shows the tank automatically. It's going to give you the unleaded fuel type automatically, so we don't have to fill that out. And then we can go in and select what fueled. So we have our vehicle card here, and we can select a vehicle. So we're going to go ahead and select our test vehicle. It gives us the department automatically. We can put the current odometer in there if we want. We don't have to. And then you have an employee card if you want to use an employee card as well. So we're going to go ahead and put my employee card here. So after all this is set up, we can go ahead and put the quantity. So we're going to put in, this one had 15 gallons. After that, we can click on Save or Save in New. Save in New is if you're just adding a bunch of manual transactions, you can hit Save. It's going to pop up a new record for you so you can just keep going. I'm not doing that. I'm just adding in one transaction, so I'm going to go ahead and click on Save. Once that's been saved successfully, we're going to go ahead and hit OK. And then now we can see our transaction on the 20th. And let's see here. We can go ahead and do test. All right, and we have our fueling here on the 20th. We can click on the transaction number, or we can click on the date and time to view this transaction. And now we can edit this transaction. You see now that we have a transaction number, and it's just going to automatically increment. So if you add 5 in a row, you're going to have this number, and then the next number would be a 4 here on the end, and so forth and so on. Let's say we wanted to change the transaction because we figured out that it wasn't actually 15 gallons. This person actually got 18 gallons. So we'll go ahead and change that to 18 and hit Save. We can also put an odometer, so we got their odometer for it, and an hour meter if you want to, but you can change up all this information on the transaction. The only thing that you cannot change is the transaction number. And then we'll save it after we change all that information. And once that saves, we can already see here that it actually saved all that information inside of the transaction here. You can change a transaction. So this one up here, we have as a vehicle type. So here, if you look at the type, you have the M in parentheses. That means it was a manual transaction. So This transaction up here was an automatic transaction that came in, and we cannot edit it. We can only view it. So we can only edit our manual transactions. If we come into the date and time here, we can't edit anything. Now there is a setting in the background if you want to be able to edit your transactions. If you ever have the need to, you can call in EJ Ward Tech Support and we'll be able to help you out and actually put in the setting to change a transaction. The only thing is when you change that transaction, it's going to automatically change it. For this one, it would be a vehicle card fueling. It's going to change it to a manual entry vehicle card fueling. And that's just because we know that it's actually manually been messed with. There's something that's different than the type of transaction that's come in. And that concludes the video on how to view, add, and edit transactions. And that concludes the video on how to view, add, and edit transactions in the FuelView system. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.